Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. We've all been in that awkward situation where you run into someone you know, but you just can't remember their name. Our next guest is here to help. Joining us with tips to improve our recall, we welcome the author of Networking is a Marathon, Not a Sprint, How to Outlast, Outconnect, and Outperform the Competition, Dr. Ivan Misner. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Hannah, and please call me Ivan.
Oh, lovely. That helps so much. Okay, Ivan, that's your first, right? Repeat the name back to the person right away.
That's exactly it, which I did and you did. What you want to do is anchor the name. So you want to repeat it back, particularly if it's an unusual name. You might want to even say, pronounce that again for me, because listen, I founded an organization called BNI. We're in 75 countries. I meet people from all over the world, and they have names I've never heard before. And so I'll say, repeat that back for me so that I can pronounce it correctly.
And how about follow-up questions, like what culture it comes from or the significance or meaning behind the name? Does that help you actually keep it memorized sometimes?
Yeah, you want to be a little careful with the culture question because you don't want to offend anyone. However, I have found that if you say, well, that's a really unique name, how did your parents come up with that? Or something like that. So you're not really dealing with the culture, but you're talking about, how the parents came up with it. Anyway, I've had some amazing stories about, well, my parents took this name and merged the two of them together. And all that dialogue that helps you anchor the name. And that's the key, is to anchor it in your mind.
Perfect. Okay, the next tip is about using their name in conversation, which might seem a little bit uncomfortable at first if you're not used to doing that all the time.
Yeah, it is. But if you use it throughout the conversation, not just in the beginning, but throughout the conversation, occasionally, you don't want to say, Hannah this, Hannah that. You want to say, as you're talking, what do you love most about what you do, Hannah? Or form some question that you have that includes the person's name. And then you're just anchoring it. I mean, there are a lot of tricks that people use with, they have an ear like somebody else's ear, or it's a full moon on a Tuesday. I don't do any of that. I just try to anchor the name in my mind by repeating it a few times.
Yeah, the most authentic way to connect is usually the correct route to go. Okay, connecting them with other people, so repeating, hello, so-and-so, this is so-and-so, and then you're saying both people's names and really reinforcing both of those for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So if you know somebody else at the event, call them on over and say, hey, John, let me introduce you to Hannah. We just met, and she works for a TV station, or whatever conversation. You make that connection and let them talk a little bit. And it's also important because you opened up the discussion. I'm going to give you a bonus tip here. You opened up the discussion by saying you see somebody at a meeting and you don't remember the name. Here's a bonus suggestion. I have stopped saying, for the most part, nice to meet you.
Oh.
Instead, I say, nice to see you,
Yep.
or great to see you. And that way, if you've met before, but you don't remember them, they don't get offended. They're not like, well, we met before 4 years ago at an event that you did with 800 people. It's like, yeah, I don't remember. But you don't want them to feel that way. So I use the phrase, nice to see you.
Great way to acknowledge somebody, make them feel seen, but not reveal exactly where you're coming from in that moment. Okay, and then you can take the time, even after the first time you meet somebody, you get back home, you're thinking about your day or the event that you've been at, jot some things down to actually dedicate those names to your memory.
Yeah, I will oftentimes ask, hey, do you mind if I jot that down, what you just said, on the back of your card? Now, this is really important for anyone that does business throughout Asia. Don't write on people's business cards.
Okay.
Don't even ask permission, because it's bad form. So in some countries it's bad form. Take a notepad with you and write down a few comments. I like to do that because then I'm connecting the person's name with something they said, and again, it anchors the person's name.
Do you have a go-to if you find yourself in the situation where you don't remember somebody's name? Is there a kind and graceful way to say, oh my gosh, I know that I know you, but the name isn't there for me right now?
Yeah, so nice to see you is a great start, because they will oftentimes say, it's good to see you again. We just saw each other whenever, which, by the way, just happened to me like a month ago. I saw a woman in a grocery store, And I knew her.
Yes.
And she saw me and she came up and said, "Hey, really good to see you here." And I'm like, "It's really good to see you as well." She said, yeah, well, it was great coming to a fundraiser at your house a couple of months ago. And I'm like, that's where I know her. And I said, "Well, how's Ray doing, her husband?" And so she kind of led me into it by using that expression, "nice to see you." They'll often give you context.
Yeah.
When you have context, you can have a conversation.
That's a great way to approach it. Hey, thank you so much for sharing your advice with us today. It was great chatting with you, Ivan.
Great talking to you, Hannah. Bye-bye.
Ivan's book again is Networking is a Marathon, Not a Sprint. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.